Hey, I'm Dr. Johnson. I'm a full-time professor of psychotherapy, and today I'd like to talk about the real cause of anxiety. I've noticed that many of my graduate students, when we're talking about treatments or evidence-based treatments for anxiety and what interventions can be used, mention having the client practice coping mechanisms or to use distractions such as diaphragmatic breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, grounding exercises, and so forth. Both coping mechanisms and distractions, of course, can be helpful in terms of relieving the symptoms of anxiety, at least temporarily, but they don't get at the core of anxiety. The core of anxiety, the core cause of anxiety, is the perception of overwhelming threat in the environment. Um, Again, distractions can be helpful, but in the long run, they can actually contribute to the perception of overwhelming threat within the environment because why would you use coping mechanisms, distractions, unless the client is continuing to perceive overwhelming threat? So what needs to be done is to help the client move from the perception of overwhelming threat within the environment to the perception of realistic threat in the environment, manageable threat, and then hopefully we could even move to having the client perceive manageable threat in the environment, and along with resources and opportunities to actually improve life. Um, Look, there are very real threats in the environment, but we don't often experience overwhelming threats. But we perceive manageable threats as actual overwhelming threats, and that is not helpful. Again, we want to maintain the perception of threat because, from an evolutionary perspective, that's what's kept us alive as a species for eons. But again, the threats that we perceive as overwhelming are very few and actually needlessly contribute to anxiety and the behavior that we see associated with anxiety, which tends to be avoidance. And so often our life can be much smaller. The good news is that we now know how to change the perception of overwhelming threat to more manageable threat, and then eventually to perceiving some great opportunities and resources in the environment. Stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about this some more. Have a great day.